Hello, my name is Alicia Alt, and welcome to Tuesday's Top Tips. I'm Alicia Alt, founder of Level Up Score, and I'm your host today. And our topic for Tuesday's Top Tips today is our action flow process. I'm going to describe to you what that is and how credit professionals turn attention into clients. So thank you for being with us and joining us today here on Tuesday Top Tips. We're here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So don't miss us because I like to pour in value to you to give you some information that may help grow and scale your business. And today is no exception. I'm really excited to present some information to you that I think will change the way you're doing business today. The title of this class is The Action Flow, and that's an acronym, A.C.T.I.O.N. And it's how credit professionals turn attention into clients. Again, my name is Alicia Alt, founder of Level Up Score. Meet me every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time for Tuesday's Top Tips, where I'm going to pour in value to help you grow and scale your business. All right. Credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses and average operators running seven-figure companies. You know, if intelligence was the advantage in our industry would look very different. And if you ever wondered why you're good at credit, you're doing everything right, but you feel capped, today I'm going to show you exactly why that is. And I'll give you a hint. It's not mindset. It's not motivation. It's execution order. So for the next 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to show you my six-step flow that determines whether a credit business scales or stalls. And I'm going to start by doing it with a little experience for you. So don't analyze it, just experience what I'm doing today. Okay. Credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses and average operators running seven-figure companies. And today I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and how execution order decides who scales and who stays stuck. And this is not an insult, it's a diagnosis. This is not a training about disputes, letters, or credit tactics. This is a training about how attention becomes income. By the end of this live, you'll understand the six-step execution flow every scalable credit business follows and where most professionals break it. I work thousands of credit files and coach credit professionals at every stage of their business. And I've watched the same pattern repeated over and over again. The people who scale are not smarter, they're ordered. If you want to see how this works mechanically, tomorrow evening I'm hosting a free live demo where I'll walk you through this step by step. But first, you need to understand the flow. If this clicks for you today, you'll stop guessing what to post, what to say, and how to lead prospects. And you'll know exactly how to move people forward. This is how credit professionals stop being fixers and start becoming guides. Okay, so now I'm going to rewind a little bit and explain exactly what I just did, why it worked, and how you can replicate it in your own business. And I call this six-step flow or action. So A is attention, C is clarity, T is trust, four is invitation, five is outcome, and six is next step. So it's the acronym ACTION. And I'm going to show you how you can replicate it in your own business today. So step one, the first thing I did today was attention. So I brought attention. I did an interruption. So how did I do that? I challenged a belief. I created some tension and I forced a reaction. When I said smart people running broke businesses, your brain reacted in one or two ways, either in agreement or in resistance. Both equal attention though. Okay. The brain pays attention to contradiction, not information. What do you think about that for a second? The brain pays attention to contradiction, not information. So the way that you can do this in your own business is you could do things like why good credit still gets denied, why fixing credit doesn't equal approval, why most credit businesses stall at 100 clients. What you don't want to do is the opposite of that, where you're educating. So information, three credit tips, how credit works, what is a credit score. Education doesn't stop scroll, interruption does. So I want you to think about that. So number one is attention. We want to create interruption, that contradiction. We want the brain to either agree or resist the message that we're trying to convey. Step number two in this action flow is clarity. C for clarity. After attention, I immediately gave clarity. This is what I did. I told you what this was not. So I said, this is not training about disputes, letters, and tactics. Remember that? I told you what it was. This is the training about how attention becomes income, right? And then I told you where it was going. By the end of this live, you'll understand the 6 steps of the execution flow every scalable credit business follows, right? Do you remember that? Okay. So I removed confusion immediately by doing these clarity steps, right? So why it worked. Confusion causes an exit. So some things that you can do in your own business. You can do things like, this is for homeowners stuck in underwriting. This is for CROs who can't scale past referrals. By the end of this, you'll know your next step. Opposite, the thing you should not do in your business is say, here's a list of services, here's a list of my features, and explain everything. Confused prospects don't say no, they actually just disappear. And step number 3, which is T for trust. Then I built trust without credentials. Okay. So what I did, I diagnosed a pattern. So I said, I've worked with thousands of credit files and coached credit professionals in every stage. I named what keeps happening, and I've watched the same pattern repeat over and over. Remember me saying that? I spoke with certainty. The people who scale are not smarter, they're ordered. Why it worked. People trust pattern recognition more than personality. So something you can do yourself is you could do stuff like, here's what I see consistently. You could do this again in your post, in your ads. You could do this in your consultations. This is where most people get stuck. This is why results don't scale. On the other flip of the coin, what you don't want to do is over-explain, over-justify, and sound unsure. Step number 4 is invitation. So it's the I in action, invitation. So then I invited. I did not sell you anything, right? So what I did, I gave direction. If you want to see how this works mechanically, and then I pointed to the next step. Tomorrow evening, I'm hosting a free live demo where I'll walk you through step by step. And then I removed pressure. But first, you need to understand the flow, okay? Invitation is actually leadership. People want direction. They don't want options. They want direction. They want to know where they're supposed to go. So how you can do it. You could do things like, here's what I do next. This is the logical next step. Here's how we move forward. What you don't want to do is apologize. Say no pressure or ask permission. Step number 5 is outcome. O in the action flow. So what I did, I named relief. If this clicks for you today, you'll stop guessing what to post, right? And then I named certainty. You'll know exactly how to move people forward. And that was also named progress, how to move people forward. So you'll know exactly how to move people forward. That's what I did. I didn't talk about disputes, right? I didn't talk about the tools or things that I do inside of my business. I did not talk about that. I didn't talk about software. I didn't talk about level up score, for instance, right? I didn't do that. I talked about results, what you were going to get and how you can do it. You could say something like approval ready, funding ready, clear next steps, confidence moving forward. What you don't want to lead with is what I just said, disputes, letters, software, right? They don't really want to know that. Nobody refers a service, they refer a result, right? You think about yourself in your organization. If I say I'm a first-time homebuyer specialist, you're coming to me for the result of a first-time homebuyer rather than me saying I'm a credit specialist, which I was. So I was a credit specialist, but I was a first-time homebuyer specialist. Do you see the difference? Credit, home buying. They don't want the credit, they want the home buying. Does that make sense? So being very clear on that. In step 6, next level. Finally, I showed the next level. What I did, I positioned long-term relevance with me. This is how credit professionals stop being fixers and start being guides. Remember that? And I framed guidance over fixing, right? Why it works. Scale comes from staying relevant. It's really, really important. So how you can do it, you can do ongoing reviews and let them know you're going to be doing that. Readiness check-ins, long-term planning. Make sense? So we're at step 6 is about next level. So that's the in action. All right. So let me walk you through the action flow with implementation in mind. So wrap it back up here. So again, A for attention, C for clarity, T for trust, I for invitation, O for outcome, and N for next level. Okay, attention. Tomorrow, I'll show you how to create one marketing piece that interrupts thinking. You'll structure you'll structure it so people instantly know who it's for and what to do next. I'll show you how to build trust before a call ever happens. You'll learn how to lead without pressure. You'll anchor results, not service. You'll position yourself as the guide, not the fixer. So you're seeing that right in real time. This is how we're doing this action flow with implementation. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. If I go back up to attention, right? Attention is about calling attention that interrupts their thinking. So tomorrow I'll show you how to create one marketing piece. That's where I went in the beginning and I said, you know, smart people are running, right, broke businesses versus the average people running seven-figure businesses. That interrupts your thinking. You're like, whoa, 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 wait, I'm smart, right? And so think of it that way. Bringing the clarity, we're being trust, we're inviting, we're showing an outcome. Really, really important, right? So if I want to buy a house, are we showing that outcome in what we're talking about to them? And then inviting to the next level. So taking them to the next place in this process. Okay, tomorrow evening, I'm hosting a live demo of Level Up Score. This is not just a software walkthrough. This is an execution session. You're going to get a free demo account. And together we're going to build one marketing piece you can immediately use following this exact 6-step flow. So you could join by scanning this QR code off to the side, and that'll get you to the registration so you can register for that live demo. So I encourage you to do that. And next week, I'm going to be breaking down why most credit professionals can't get past 100 clients and exactly what has to change to break the ceiling. It's not beginner content next week, it's operator level execution. You know, today you learn the flow, the action flow. Tomorrow you'll install it in your business through this live demo that we'll do together. And next week we'll break the ceiling. You don't need to be smarter, you need to be ordered. Thank you for sharing this time with me today. I know this is a quick live, but I wanted to show you exactly how you can do this in your own business. So I'm going to scroll back to the top of my slides here after I say thank you. I'm going to go back to our slides at the top because I want to show you where we started, and I'm going to replay that for you just to give you that idea again of what that looks like. So sometimes I think you have to hear it twice to make sense of it. So we're going to go back up to this slide here. So we're breaking that, we're interrupting the thought process of somebody. So that's where we're going to come from when we're doing post, when we're trying to advertise to our clients, when we're doing email marketing campaigns, anything like that. We want to cause a disruption. And so for me, I'm causing a disruption for you as credit repair professionals, right? So credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses and average operators running seven-figure companies. Let me say that again because I said that wrong. Credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses and average operators running seven-figure companies, right? If intelligence was the advantage, this industry would look very different. And if you've ever wondered why you're good at credit, doing everything right, and still feel capped, today I'm going to show you exactly why. And guess what? It's not mindset. It's not motivation. It's execution order. So for the next 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to show you the 6-step flow that determines whether a credit business scales or stalls, right? And so do you understand how that goes? So we're doing all those pieces right there from the beginning of that action flow, right? And so I broke those down for you like attention. I got your attention by saying credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses. Fair? And then if we look at clarity, and I'll just run back through those, attention, credit repair is full of smart people running broke businesses and average operators running seven-figure companies. That's grabbing your attention. Then I went to clarity. This is not training about disputes, letters, or credit tactics. This training is about how attention becomes income, right? So I created clarity. What is this going to be about? And then I create trust. I've worked with thousands of credit files and coached professionals at every stage. And let me stop here. So trust is built in lots of different ways, but one of the ways that I believe it's not built is by you saying, hey, I give you an example myself. Hey, I have a master's degree in professional executive coaching. Okay, so, right? But if I say I've worked thousands of credit files and coached credit professionals at every stage, that sounds a lot better than me just telling you, hey, I got a master's degree in professional executive coaching. Does that make sense? So think about that for a second on how you're building your trust. And then we're at invitation. You always want to have an invitation, right? What's the next step for them? If you want to see how this works mechanically, tomorrow evening, I'm hosting a free live demo where I'll walk you through this step by step, which is being offered to you guys. So tomorrow, that's Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, you are invited to see how this works right inside of your business. And I'll give you step by step. You will get a marketing piece so that you can use that to take this step by step. Okay, so that's the invitation. And then we have to come down to outcome. So here's my outcome. If this clicks for you today, you'll stop guessing what to post, what to say, and how to lead prospects. So that's the outcome that I'm promising to deliver. So for you as a credit professional, your outcome may be, I'm going to help first-time homebuyers purchase a home, right? And so that's the outcome that we're stating. And now we're going to go to next level. This is how credit professionals stop being fixers and start becoming guides. So now we're giving them, here's the next level. So this is how, if I were to put it in the credit space, let's say a first-time home buyer. And so this is how the renters can become first-time home buyers and stop renting today, right? That's the next level, if that makes sense. Okay. So I just want to kind of go back through that so it really hopefully sticks with you about what we're talking about here in the action flow process. We'll go back down to the 6-step flow. It's the acronym ACTION, so it's pretty easy to remember. But step 1 is attention. So how do you grab attention? You don't grab attention with information and education. You grab attention through saying something that interrupts their thought processes. And then clarity. You want them to know what you're going to give them and what you're not going to give them and what the next steps will be in the process. And then trust, right? You're building trust by showing, hey, I've done this before. I've worked with people before, right? So if I'm a first-time home buyer, that might be something like I've worked with hundreds of renters and helped them become first-time home buyers, right? Invitation, this is where you're inviting them to the next step that they can take with you, right? If you are a renter and you're considering being a first-time home buyer, I invite you to my class on blah, 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 right? So you can learn how you can go from being a renter to being a homeowner. That's invitation. And the outcome. Through my class, I will show you how I can take you from being a renter to being a first-time home buyer in an easy, fast process, whatever. And then next level. Once you go through my process, you're going to find that you're going to move from being a renter to now being a homeowner, right? And so what does that look like? So just think about that six-step flow as you're putting together your material and anything that you're doing, whether that's a class that you're hosting, an advertisement that you're doing, a paid ad that you're doing, a post that you're doing. Funny enough, I was actually, and maybe I can show this to you. I'm going to stop share my screen here for a second and I'm going to see if I can find it. But as I was getting ready to jump into this class, I happened to be on Facebook and I saw someone in a post that they did. Let me see if I can find it real fast. And if I can, I'll share my screen. That was exactly in line. Oh, I did find it. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, you know what? I don't know if it'll let me share a Facebook screen. Maybe it will. Let's see. Okay, so here, let's see if it's going to show you this screen. Okay, so right here, do you see Dustin Ball here? I'm gonna talk about him today. So Dustin Ball here put a post here. It says why credit repair doesn't work and what to do instead. This is an interruption, right? So you're like, wait a minute, credit repair. Everybody says credit repair works. That's why I've been calling credit repair companies, right? But he's saying, hey, it doesn't work, and this is what to do instead. So this would be a really perfect example of exactly what I'm teaching today. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. A couple of things that I invite you guys to do is make sure you scan that QR code. Remember that in the slideshow, so I'll bring that back up so you can get that QR code again. That QR code will take you to the registration where you can sign up for that demo tomorrow, Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time is when we'll do that demo. Again, my promise to you on this demo is I'll give you the layout of Level Up Score, and you can then learn how you can use Level Up Score to empower your business, bring more value. But I'm also going to give you a marketing piece on that live demo that you can use that same day to start attracting more leads into your company and then converting them into clients. So that's my promise to you tomorrow. So go ahead and scan that QR code, register for that, and I will see you tomorrow. I appreciate you. And don't forget, next week, we will be talking about how, let me go back to my notes here so I can say it correctly so you know exactly what we're going to be doing. Next Tuesday top tips. I'm going to talk about why most credit professionals can't get past 100 clients. So if that is you, you need to make sure that you're on Tuesday's top tips next week. And that's what I'll be discussing. So how do you get past 100 clients? What are you doing that may be stopping you, and what can you do to get past that 100, or how can you break that ceiling? So first step I would imagine is taking this action flow and putting it into play in your organization. And then from that, see me next Tuesday for Tuesday's top tips. I'm really excited to deliver this information to you. I appreciate you all. Have a beautiful day.